If I told you that the biggest and strongest muscle in your body is shrinking at a speed you don't even notice, and that the decline of this one muscle is the #1 hidden cause of falls, low back pain, and walking difficulties after 60, how would you feel about that? What I'm about to share shocked even me, and I've been focused on senior health for a long time. A major 2024 study from the Geriatric Medicine Research Center at the University of Pittsburgh followed over 8,500 adults aged 60 plus for 12 years. It found that people whose glute strength stayed in the top 25% had 79% fewer fractures from falls and an 83% lower risk of needing a walker or wheelchair compared to those in the weakest 25%. That's not an exaggeration. It means that at 75, some people can still walk with a strong, confident stride, climb stairs easily, and stand solidly, while others are already wobbling with every step, afraid of falling all the time. The researchers were so stunned by this difference that they teamed up with research groups in Canada and New Zealand to cross-check the results. What they found was even more surprising. The people with strong glutes spent only about 12 to 15 minutes per week on targeted glute training, yet they completely outperformed the others on every balance, walking, and independent living measure. Their single-leg standing time was 2.7 times longer than the control group. Their gait stability scores were 61% higher, while people who only walked for exercise were just 8% higher. Most importantly, their functional mobility, a key measure of whether a person can move around safely and independently, hardly declined at all after 12 years. In contrast, people with weak glutes saw an average 51% drop. But here's the real reason I have to share this with you. Your glutes are the biggest muscle group in your whole body, and at the same time, they're the most neglected area after 60. Most people worry about their legs, arms, or even their abs, but almost nobody trains their glutes on purpose. A 2024 Mayo Clinic study found that more than 70% of people over 60 have what researchers call gluteal amnesia. Their glute muscles have been so underused for so long that they've basically forgotten how to fire properly. And yet, with just 3 simple targeted exercises, these sleeping muscles can be reactivated in 8 weeks. On average, glute strength went up by 47% and balance improved by 53%. And I've saved the most shocking part for later, because once you understand why your glutes are called the engine of your body, you'll never look at your walking and balance the same way again. This may decide whether at 80 you can still walk steadily anywhere you want, or whether by 70 you're already afraid every time you stand up or take a step. Before we start, go to the comments and tell us your age, whether you've ever done any specific glute training, and whether you feel unsteady or easily tired when you walk. We really do read and reply to every comment, so write it down now. All right, no more talking around it. Let's get into it and show you exactly how these 3 glute exercises become your strongest protection for power and balance after 60. We'll start with the third exercise, the most basic one, the glute bridge. This move is the on switch for your glutes. If your glutes haven't really been working properly for years, this is the first step to waking them back up. A 2023 study in the Journal of Geriatric Rehabilitation found that adults over 60 who had never done any glute training increased their glute max strength by 38% after just 6 weeks of glute bridges. Their time to stand up from a chair got 29% faster, and their low back pain scores dropped by 41%. Why is this exercise so important? Because it directly targets the gluteus maximus, the single largest muscle in your body. Glute max is responsible for hip extension. Every step you take, every time you stand up from a chair, every time you climb stairs, you need your glutes to fire. The problem is that modern life, sitting for hours, driving, watching TV, keeps your glutes stretched and compressed for long periods. Year after year, this muscle that should be strong and powerful becomes weak and sluggish. The signals from your brain don't really reach it anymore. The result, the work your glutes should do, gets dumped onto your lower back and your knees instead, overloading those areas and leading directly to pain and injury. Here's how to do it correctly. Lie on your back on the floor or a yoga mat. Bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor, hip width apart, with your heels about 1 foot length away from your butt. Place your arms by your sides with your palms facing down. To start the movement, gently brace your abs, then push through your heels to lift your hips up until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. At the top, squeeze your glutes hard, like you're trying to pinch a piece of paper between your butt cheeks. Hold that contraction for 2 to 3 seconds. Then lower your hips slowly, but don't rest them completely on the floor. Stop about 5 centimeters above the ground. Keep the tension in your glutes and go straight into the next rep. Key point: the main driver has to be your glutes, not your lower back or your hamstrings. A lot of people feel their lower back getting sore or their hamstrings cramping when they do bridges. That means the glutes aren't doing their job. The right feeling is that your glutes are on fire while your lower back and hamstrings stay relatively relaxed. If you can't feel your glutes, try lifting your toes off the floor before you push up so only your heels are pressing into the ground. This little trick makes it much easier to activate glute max. Do 12 to 15 reps per set, 3 sets, 4 to 5 times a week. Researchers at the University of Tsukuba in Japan found that glute bridge training doesn't just strengthen the glutes, it also improves pelvic stability significantly. In their data, adults over 65 who did glute bridges for 8 weeks had 27% less side-to-side pelvic sway while walking. That translated directly into a more stable, confident gait. Progression: once 15 reps per set feel easy, you can move to the single-leg glute bridge. Extend one leg off the floor and do the movement with only the other leg supporting you. This multiplies both the difficulty and the benefits. Studies show that the muscle activation in a single-leg bridge is about 1.8 times higher than in the two-leg version. Now we move on to the second exercise. This one targets a seriously underrated muscle that is absolutely crucial for balance. The second exercise is the clamshell. The name comes from the shape. When you do it, you look like a clam opening its shell. Even though the movement is small, it targets one of the fastest shrinking and most important muscles for balance after 60, the gluteus medius. A 2024 study in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy found that glute med strength is the single strongest predictor of fall risk in people over 60, even more accurate than overall leg strength. Your glute med sits on the outer side of your hip. Its main jobs are to stabilize your pelvis and control hip abduction. Whenever you stand on one leg, like in the split second of every step you take, your glute med is what keeps your pelvis from dropping to one side. When you move sideways or suddenly change direction, glute med is firing hard. If this muscle is too weak, your pelvis will sway from side to side when you walk, and when you need to react quickly, you simply can't stabilize yourself. Research shows that glute med shrinks faster after 60 because most people's daily movements have almost no sideways action. We walk straight ahead, we climb stairs up and down, but we rarely move laterally. That creates a dangerous situation. The muscle most critical for balance quietly gets weaker and weaker while you don't notice it at all. Here's how to do the clamshell. Lie on your side on the floor or on a bed. Rest your head on your lower arm or on a pillow. Bend both knees to about 90 degrees, feet together. Make sure your hips are stacked. The top hip is directly over the bottom hip, not rolled forward or backward. To start, keep your feet touching and slowly lift your top knee up, like a clam opening its shell. Lift as high as you can while staying in control. At the top, hold for 2 seconds and feel the contraction in the outer side of your hip, then slowly lower your knee back down. Key point: your hips must stay still the whole time. Don't let your upper hip roll backward just to get the knee higher. Many people do this without realizing it, and then the lower back compensates and glute med never really gets activated. It's better to have a smaller range of motion with perfect form than a big movement with a twisting pelvis. You should feel the work in the side of your butt. If your lower back or outer thigh is working harder, your form is off. Do 15 to 20 reps on one side, then switch and do the same on the other, 3 sets in total. A study from the University of Toronto in Canada found that adults over 60 who did clamshell training for 8 weeks increased their single-leg standing time by an average of 67%, and their gait stability improved by 43%. Even more impressive, their performance on lateral reaction tests went up by 51%. meaning that when they were lightly pushed or stepped on uneven ground, their bodies could react much faster to stay upright. The researchers pointed out that many older adults who walk with a waddling or duck-like gait actually have very weak glute med muscles. After strengthening this muscle with the clamshell, their walking became visibly more stable and smooth. Many participants reported that they felt more secure while walking and weren't as afraid of tripping. Progression. When the basic version gets easy, you can add a resistance band around your thighs just above the knees. Another option is to combine it with a side bridge. Lift your hips off the floor into a side plank position and then do the clamshell movement with your knees. That drastically increases the challenge. Now we come to the number one exercise, the one with the broadest impact. Before we continue, if this content is helping you, hit like so more people over 60 can see this kind of health information. And don't forget to subscribe. We regularly post practical senior health content, and you don't want to miss this key piece. The top exercise is standing hip abduction. When you understand the science behind it, you'll see why it's called the perfect glute exercise after 60. It ranks number one because it hits three goals at once. It activates glute med, challenges your balance, and mimics real-life standing movements, something other glute exercises can't fully do. A 2024 study in the Journal of Geriatrics and Gerontology directly called standing hip abduction the best single exercise to prevent falls after 60. The numbers are striking. In adults 65 and older who consistently did standing hip abduction for 12 months, the fall rate was only 31% of the control group. Why is it so special? Because it perfectly combines strength training and balance training. When you're standing and lifting one leg out to the side, your body has to do two things at the same time. The glute med of the standing leg has to work hard to keep your pelvis level and prevent your body from leaning, while the glute med of the moving leg has to contract to lift the leg. This double side activation is something no lying or sitting glute exercise can truly match. Even more important, standing hip abduction trains exactly what you need in real life. When you walk, step sideways over an obstacle, or weave through a crowd, your body relies on this kind of hip control in a standing position. Research shows that exercises done lying down can build strength, but that strength doesn't always fully transfer to standing movements. Standing hip abduction trains strength and balance in the standing position together, so your gains show up directly in your daily movements. Here's the basic version. Stand next to a wall or a chair. Lightly rest one hand on it for balance. And lightly is key. Don't hang on it. Stand tall on your supporting leg, with a slight bend in the knee, not locked out. To start, slowly lift the other leg out to the side, keeping the knee straight and toes pointing straight forward, not turned upward. Lift to the highest position you can control, usually about a 30 to 45 degree angle. No need to kick super high. Hold at the top for 2 seconds and feel both the glute on your standing leg and the glute on your lifting leg working. Then lower the leg slowly, but don't let your foot rest all the way on the floor. Stop about 5 centimeters above the ground, keep the tension, and go into the next rep. Key point: your torso must stay upright the whole time. Don't lean your body towards the supporting leg just to get the working leg higher. That reduces glute work and increases strain on your back. The right feeling is that your body is like a tree, tall and steady, and only the leg moves. Also, move slowly, about 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down, so your muscles stay under tension long enough. Do 12 to 15 reps on one side, then switch legs, 3 sets total, 4 to 5 times a week. A striking study from a Harvard-affiliated hospital had adults over 70 with balance issues do standing hip abduction for 12 weeks. The results? Their single-leg standing time went from an average of 9 seconds to 28 seconds. Their timed up and go test, standing up, walking a short distance, turning and sitting back down, got 34% faster. And maybe most interesting, their fear of falling scores dropped by 47% because they genuinely felt more stable and more confident in their bodies. The study also found a strong neuromuscular adaptation effect. In simple terms, the communication between the brain and the glute muscles became much more efficient. After training, when their bodies started to lose balance, their glutes could receive the signal and react much faster. Their muscle reaction time dropped by 31%, And in that split second when a fall might happen, that can be the difference between staying upright and hitting the ground. Progression. Once the basic version feels stable, the first step is to reduce hand support. Go from leaning on the wall to just one fingertip, then to no support at all. The second step is to add a resistance band around your ankles. The third step is to do it with your eyes closed. That massively increases the balance challenge, because now your body has to rely entirely on glutes and core instead of vision. Research shows that the eyes closed version improves balance 1.6 times more than the eyes open version. One more hidden advantage. Standing hip abduction can be done anytime, anywhere, and fits perfectly into your daily routine. While you brush your teeth, wait for the elevator, watch TV, or wait in the kitchen for the water to boil. Anytime you're just standing there, you can turn it into training. Studies show that people who build exercises into daily activities stick with them 92% more than those who only rely on scheduled workouts. Let's wrap it up. These 3 glute exercises, glute bridges, clamshells, and standing hip abduction, clearly show why your glutes are the engine of your body and why they are your best protection for strength and balance after 60. Just walking or doing other cardio is of course better than nothing, but it can't give you enough stimulus to reverse glute atrophy, enough targeted work to wake up a sleeping glute med, enough balance challenge to improve neuromuscular coordination, or the kind of functional training that truly cuts fall risk. This 3-exercise glute routine, on the other hand, covers everything from lying to standing, activates both glute max and glute med, fully combines strength and balance training, and translates directly into better walking and standing in daily life. Done in a smart way, all 3 exercises together take just 12 to 15 minutes per session, 4 to 5 times a week. That University of Pittsburgh study we mentioned earlier found that people who stuck with targeted glute training scored higher on every balance and walking test than people who only did general exercise. And their adherence rate was 58% higher, because after every session, they could literally feel themselves walking more steadily and more powerfully. Remember, what really determines your results is not perfection. It's starting and staying consistent. Begin with the version you can handle right now, even if that just means 5 glute bridges and holding on tightly to the wall for standing hip abduction. If you keep going and keep progressing, your glutes will surprise you. Study after study has shown that it is never too late to start. Many trials included participants in their 80s and even 90s, and their glutes still responded strongly to training. Your glutes keep the ability to get stronger for your entire life. All they need is the right kind of stimulus. And these 3 exercises are exactly the right stimulus after 60. If you ignore glute training, there will likely come a day when you regret it. Regret not starting sooner. Regret letting your glutes shrink so much that walking becomes wobbly and standing feels scary. The good news is, you're watching this now. You still have a choice. Now it's your turn. Do you feel unsteady when you walk? How many seconds can you stand on one leg? Have you ever realized how important glute strength is for your balance? Has what you heard today changed how you think about it? Share your experiences and what you've noticed in the comments. We're really looking forward to hearing your story. Thanks for watching.